Welcome to the Growth Minded Accountant podcast, where our experts will share best practices on running your firm in the digital age. This podcast is brought to you by CountingWorks Pro. Let's get started.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Growth Minded Accountant, the podcast dedicated to helping tax and accounting professionals expand their practices and thrive in today's competitive landscape. I am your host, Reams II, CEO of CountingWorks, where we are revolutionizing the tax and accounting back office. And yes, we're using the word revolutionizing because we don't think AI says it enough. Anyways, joining me today is our co-host, Rebekah Barton, our Chief Visibility Officer, who brings a wealth of experience enhancing the visibility and reach of tax and accounting firms. Rebekah, if you could please say hello before we jump in.
Hi, guys. Looking forward to talking about this with you today.
All right. So this episode is how the web has changed tax and accounting referrals forever. We dive into strategies, insights, and best practices that will empower you to grow your practice and achieve greater success. Today, we're exploring the power of referrals. Obviously, that is how most of you have built your businesses. But guess what? The web, reviews, social media has really transformed the way the referral funnels happen. It's not just a referral and a call. There's all kinds of steps they used in order to get to you. So we need to talk about how to optimize those. So we'll discuss innovative ideas, the impact of online referrals, and how to build a robust referral networks that keeps your pipeline full. So whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, stay tuned as we uncover the secrets to becoming a truly growth-minded accountant. So let's start with our first question. And I broke this one into segments, Rebekah, so we're going to kind of hopefully organize it fairly well so it's easy to follow along. So the first one is understanding the referral landscape. I think a lot of this is probably pretty familiar to most accountants, but we're going to talk a little bit about what has changed. So my first question for you is, has the referral or how has the referral pipeline changed in the tax and accounting space, particularly in recent years?
Yeah, so obviously, as the title of this podcast suggests, it's gone a lot more digital, right? No longer are people asking their friends and family around the dinner table, oh, who do you use for your taxes, et cetera. And then they're calling you the next day. They're asking their family that question, and then they're pulling out their smartphone at the dinner table, and they're looking at your Instagram, they're looking at your website, they're looking at your Facebook, they're looking at your reviews. So everything's kind of happening online now, where it used to happen more in person. Maybe people would pull out a phone book and call you that way. That's not how things work anymore. So obviously your online presence is directly connected to how many referrals you're getting online, how trustworthy you seem, and how likely people actually are to reach out, whether via email or an online contact form or whatever means of contact you have on your website.
Yeah, and to add to that, I mean, think about it this way. The web has made it so there's tons of information about you, about your competitors, even when people are searching for you, both good and bad, that people are going to engage in before they actually decide to call you. So the goal here is, how do you optimize all of these touch points to make that great first impression? And, the example of at the dinner table, the reality now, someone might refer you online. They might be on Facebook. They might direct message somebody. And if you have a robust Facebook profile, that person then would just type your name, and then your link to your Facebook page would load automatically. And that's how that referral would take place. So if they landed there and there is a desert of information, there's no real aha moment, there's nothing to push me to say, oh, this was a good referral. They're actually looking at their relative or colleague going, why did you refer this person? Do they know what they're doing? So definitely a big change. And then I think the biggest one is how online reviews play in influencing potential referrals. So I guess the question is, and we've done this for our clients. So one of the big things we do at CountingWorks Pro and through our taxbuzz.com marketplace is really help optimize. It's one of the first things we do when a new client signs up. It's like, how do I get an ROI very quickly? Well, let's build your referral profile. And the reason that is done is, A, it signals to the search engines and all sorts of search engines. So it's not just Google anymore, it's the social engines, but the more positive reviews you have, the more frequent those reviews, the higher you're going to rank. So the question is, when a referrer then Googles and they see these reviews, kind of how does that influence whether they're going to call?
So we call it social proof. And if you've listened to the podcast before, you've heard us talk a lot about social proof. And what that is real life people promoting you via word of mouth, via online reviews, via all these different things. And like Lee mentioned, when someone searches you online, they're not just seeing information about you, right? They're probably also going to get results about your competitors. So it's really important to stand out. It's really important to showcase your expertise, your client satisfaction, maybe over all of those other people, or at least to show that you offer really high value services. And that's what reviews do. They are telling people who look you up, hey, this person is trustworthy. They know what they're talking about. They do a really great job. And I am happy to use them and to publicly state that I'm satisfied with their services. So it's a really important way to just let people know that you are who you say you are effectively, and that your services are as valuable as you're saying they are on your website.
Yeah, and it takes a one-to-one referral and it becomes a referral of many, right? So someone you trusted referred somebody, they took a risk and they don't want to be embarrassed. And then they find when they're searching, 100 other people that love you and they are glowing about their service or how responsive you are, or the financial results you delivered, that's really going to create more and more velocity in the way, every referral that goes, let's say 50% drop off because they don't see something positive. If you have a really good review profile, that'll be closer to 100% contacting you. So now we're going to get into some of the fun stuff. And we are at the end going to give even more detailed kind of examples, but we're just going to talk about now some best practices for generate referrals. And, what are some effective ways? And I'm going to start out with how do you build a strong referral network and understanding kind of how you choose, what is your ideal client? If I then was looking to build a referral network, what type of professionals would I be looking for? So if I'm going for high net worth individuals, I'd be working with different investment CFPs in the area, RIAs in the area that have this same type of client base or profile that I'm looking for. So how would you go about establishing a network of other professionals like estate planners, financial advisors to really start creating a beneficial referral network back and forth?
So there are a lot of ways you can go about it. And it kind of depends on where you are when you start, right? Like I have some clients at CountingWorks who come to me and they already have these relationships. They've already sort of been by word of mouth, maybe referring people to a local estate planner in their town or a local attorney, different things like that for years and years. So in those situations, all you have to do is really formally establish that referral pipeline, usually via the internet, where you might have a link on your website where you could send someone to that other person and they might do the same for you. So you would also be getting a backlink out of it. So that's a great way to start. If you don't already have those relationships, the first thing you're going to need to do is start establishing those connections locally. So whether you go to a networking meeting or you start asking around and find out, hey, who might be open to these kinds of relationships, you just need to start developing those relationships. You can even do it online. You can send them a DM on Facebook or on Instagram and say, hey, I'm interested in starting a referral program for my tax and accounting clients. Would you be open to new business? So it kind of starts with just establishing that foundation. And then from there, figuring out what type of online referral process works better for you. And I think we're going to get into that next, some of the different options that exist and just some of the different ways that you can actually establish a referral pipeline using the web.
Yeah, I mean, use LinkedIn, see who you're connected to already. Maybe reach out to someone that you're connected with and maybe connected to one of the main estate planners in the area and do a live introduction via email. That's usually great. Hey, this is a mutual friend. I think you guys could do great together. I'll leave it to you. Here's your contact information and kind of do those, what I'll call like a soft introduction from other professionals that you know. Another way to do this is start using tools. So we've used a tool called Referral Candy. There's Referral Rock. There's a bunch of different tools that have more incentives to help people start building referral networks and getting their happiest clients to start engaging with them and have some rewards. So the idea is, the referral, you get $200. Your new client that you refer gets $200 off their first service. Those are a little more expensive. There's a lot of different ways to do that via email and a little lower cost than kind of these software products, but I did want to mention them as well. we have mentioned LinkedIn, we've mentioned Instagram, Facebook on social media. I think another way that this works is you need to show your own credibility before you start asking these people to refer business. So if you're not posting actively, if you're not sharing your knowledge, if you're not becoming that trusted advisor in your market, it's going to be harder to set up those referral sources in the beginning. So kind of explain, Rebekah, I guess, how do you get our clients, especially our VIP clients, set up to really enhance and optimize their social profiles? And kind of it's basically their entire web profile.
Exactly. So we know now that Google is really taking your holistic web presence into account when they do rankings too. So this not only will help with referrals, but it should help your overall rankings over time as well. So it's really important. I'll preface this whole thing with that. This is really, really matters and should be a priority for you. So the way that I go about it with clients, first of all, if they're using our automated posts, that's great. Those are going to feed the algorithm. If you have auto posts going out, they're going to be, I call them algorithmic. I always explain to people this means they're relevant, they have trending keywords, and they go out regularly. What those posts are not going to do, though, is go viral or really establish you as an authority. So if that's something you want, if you're looking to build referral pipelines, if you're looking to really create authority, you're going to want to do custom posting. I do things where I'll strategize with people. I'll talk to them about their niche. We'll come up with ideas. I'll show them how to use AI to build content calendars, to get concepts for posts, to get concepts for things like TikTok videos. There's all kinds of things you can do online to establish yourself. You can post long form blog articles to places like Medium to really establish yourself in a particular niche, like top 10 things restaurant owners should know about taxes, different things like that. So there's a lot of pipelines you can use. There's a lot of places you can post, and just really creating that expertise in a specific niche is going to help you nail down the referrals that you want to get, because people who are in your niche are going to see how much you know, how much knowledge you have, and the fact that you're modern, you're tech savvy, you're putting everything out there online. And that's what people want to see in the 21st century.
Yeah, so I'm just going to build on that. And segment 3 is about building and maintaining relationships. So we're talking about how to kind of build that pre-meeting, that first impression relationship where you're putting out your knowledge, the content, getting this out there. And your more important, I think, is just being ongoing. Like, meaning you just don't do it 1 week and then nothing for 50 weeks. It's, you're consistent. People log into your sites or look at your profiles and they're like, wow, these people really are sharing a lot. So it's a lot about the education side. But what leads me into, you have your current clients, your past clients. They are obviously where you get most of your referrals. So let's get out of the network side. That's one pipeline. But now let's look at how do we get referrals from our current clients? And quite honestly, it starts with your service. So the number one thing that we see in negative reviews is lack of responsiveness. I reached out multiple times. They never responded. They ignored me. They did this. They made me feel like I wasn't important, right? So let's get into a little bit of just simple things that we do for our clients that any tax and accounting pro can do to like improve that relationship. And I think it comes with the amount of contact. So you just don't meet them once and they don't see you again until you're ready to meet again. So what are you doing in between that to maintain contact with your existing clients, your biggest asset, basically?
So obviously staying in touch is important, staying top of mind year round. Lee, you and I talk a lot about the newsletter that we do here at CountingWorks. That's going to keep you in their inbox month after month. You can also do things on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, reach out to clients, let them know you're thinking about them. If you see, for example, that someone, and this works great for smaller firms that maybe don't have a ton of clients and you actually know what's going on in their lives. If you see someone has recently had a baby, send them a tax planning guide. For having a new child. If you know someone has become an empty nester for the first time, reach out to them. Let them know that you care. Let them know that you're involved in their life. You're not just there once a year. And the more you develop those relationships, the more they'll become loyal to you and the more likely they are to then refer friends, family, colleagues, other people in their network. So I think just staying top of mind and proving that you really do care about their lives. You don't just care about them as a number in your tax season is key.
Yeah, and it may take a little extra time, but it's the best way to amplify your referral networks. I mean, you are going to go Richter if you start treating clients that way and are able to provide that service. And it may feel overwhelming to be able to do that, but if you're using a tool like our CountingWorks AI Assistant or TaxBuzz AI. It makes creating this content a snap. I mean, literally in seconds, you can personalize it, and it makes it really easy to reach out. So I think the whole idea of educating clients about those services, and more importantly, like these different life events, and the value and the options that there are. You know, you just bought a second home. Are you going to have it as a rental home? Well, what does that mean? What are the tax consequences there? You know, can I get any tax-free income, right? You know, renting it out X number of days, things like that. So that's all those different ideas that really, you know, from the education standpoint, the reach out, will really put a lot of benefits in. So now let's talk about some ideas on getting more referrals. I have a bunch of things that we kind of brainstormed or brain dumped, and I'm just going to go through them. Rebekah, kind of, you know, we already went through a couple of them. So offering referral incentives is big. You know, it's something that people don't think about. So you can have referrals incentives. So meaning you get $100, they get $100. But the other thing you can do is gamify it in your own staff. One of our most successful customers, a bigger CPA firm, they will actually break their teams into pods, they call them, and they will compete against each other. So they'll track how many small business referral clients did we get? How much revenue did that bring? How many during tax season? How many new tax clients were referred? And it is basically the main fuel for their growth. And it makes it a little more fun for the team. They have definitely more personality in their practice. So they're not, you know, what I'll call like the conservative, we don't, you know, don't get out of the box type of CPA firms, but it is truly driven their success, and they're a monster firm, monster size. So definitely one area to do. We've talked about partnering with networking like estate planners and others, but let's think of a different idea. How could you, let's say you're in the restaurant business, because we like to use restaurants. You know, how would you, Rebekah, not necessarily get a restaurant to start referring you, but perhaps get some visibility that you are the restaurant expert, and people who are in the restaurant business will start thinking of you as the restaurant virtual CFO and automatically think you know more than others. You're a specialty. I'm going to get better results. So how could you actually create almost a referral network, some people that aren't even your clients, just by establishing yourself as that expert in a vertical or a niche?
So I think in this case, you need to go back to just marketing yourself, knowing what you want to put out there into the world. And I talk a lot about like reaching out to local content creators, local you know, foodies who you might not even think of as a client, and partnering with them to create content. And I think this is a situation where something like that could be really effective. So we always use Boston, so let's just pick a different city. Let's say you're in Charleston, which is a big food city. And so let's say you're in Charleston, there's a lot of food content creators, a lot of influencers in the restaurant space there. Reach out to them. Hey, here's what I do. I specialize in, you know, upscale restaurants. This is what I do as a tax professional. Is there a way we can create content together? They're probably going to have ideas, right? Even if you don't. This is what they do. This is what they thrive on, is creative content. So those collaborations can be huge. And almost every restaurateur, high-end restaurant in Charleston probably follows these foodies, these people who are creating content, because they want to get their restaurant on those pages. So you get this kind of circle effect where by reaching out to these influencers and these creators, you're then getting exposure among their followers, who are the people who you want to work with. And the more your name is out there, the more you're going to become synonymous with restaurant CFO or whatever it is that you want your niche to be.
Yeah, and basically think of it as an endorsement. If they collaborate with you, you're the expert that they write an article about, you know, a successful business in the area. It now makes you the expert, and it is like putting their stamp of approval upon you. And as Rebekah was saying, now their entire audience and followers, and they can be small, active, engaged, smaller communities, I think, are more valuable than large ones that get kind of watered down. So definitely, one of the best things, a good takeaway here, and an easy one that a lot of people don't do. So that's a kind of a roundabout way to create a referral network without getting an estate planner, a lawyer, or someone else involved. So, and it's probably much easier because they are always looking for content. So it's an excellent idea. This one might be the most obvious of all time, but I'm telling you, it doesn't happen. Ask for referrals after every successful engagement. So make it a part of your process. We have automated triggers, so you could set up a campaign that says it's basically a thank you for service. I hope we have met or exceeded your needs. We love our business is built on referrals. Our trust is, obviously confidentiality and trust is paramount here. And just have an email ready to go. It could be a personal note that you mail that could even be more effective, takes a little more time, or you can automate it like we do in our process. But absolutely make asking for referrals a part of your process. So it's not something you just have set up. It is like a check mark in a to-do list of every person in the firm, wherever that last stage is, make sure you do that. I already talked about gamifying the referral process. I think that is really important. It's definitely an idea that a lot of people don't use, but that should use it. We've talked about in referral incentives, so discounts or free services for clients to refer new business. We've talked about the peer referral networks. The other things that I get into are asking for feedback and improvement. And this is kind of interesting because what it does is it starts making your clients feel even more valued and more part of the process. And you'll be surprised, the feedback you get, and it will help you improve. But more importantly, it will make the chances of them becoming an ambassador much higher. So definitely ask clients for feedback. Use, you could use even a little intake form, you can use our form builder and build a small quiz, 5 to 10 questions, and just email it out. The information you get back is incredible, so it's definitely something to think about. So now let's get into stuff that's a little more labor intensive. So educational workshops. So what does that mean? Let's say I want to do a luncheon. I do a free luncheon and I host people and I invite them and I'm paying for lunch and we're going to talk about, savings for college education, make it something simple. So provide value to clients. And this could be to all current clients. It could be at your office. Let's say you have a conference room. It could be more intimate. Encourage them to bring friends or colleagues. So, basically you're getting the invite, but feel free to invite as many people as possible. I think educational workshops are very good. You can obviously use social media to amplify that you're doing them to the local communities. So I think it's definitely important.
I think too, just to jump off of that really quickly, working with, especially if you're in a smaller town, working with libraries, working with community organizations, if you have like some sort of a community foundation, things like that can be really great. I know one thing I hear a lot from people when I suggest hosting some kind of an in-person educational seminar, they're afraid no one will come. So if you partner with a community organization, even like a Kiwanis Club or a Lions Club or something like that, to have that partnership can make it feel more worthwhile because you're going to be drawing from their clientele or their marketing capabilities as well, just to kind of put that out there in case you're worried about lack of attendance at something like that.
I mean, to take that a step further, if you have a larger corporation, financial literacy, for example, tax literacy, I mean, I can go on, but it is important. People are mostly illiterate to a lot of the things that you're doing. So if it's small business owners and if you have somebody that is sponsoring it or co-sponsoring it, and that's where you can even get I guess, more innovative. You bring in that estate planner and you bring in that financial planner and the three of you guys do something together to really push it. So it's another great way. Again, I said this is more time consuming, but if you're serious about growing, these are ways to grow. The next one, Rebekah's mentioned social proof campaigns, but start sharing other people's success stories and testimonials on your website for sure, on social media sites. So kind of don't be afraid to say, hey, and I see it a lot in the IRS tax problems world where people are saying, I saved this person $50,000, and those posts always have the most engagement. So what does that do? It reinforces the trust and credibility that you are what you portray, and it will make you even more referable. So definitely something to use. The next one is another obvious one, but thank you notes. So after each successful engagement, and this could be a handwritten note. I know a lot of people aren't into the trees and everything. You can send an email as long as it's personal. I think it will make just personalize just a couple of sentences of it. You might have a template or an AI memory that you put in like an art tool and say, anytime I'm writing a thank you note, use the following language and then include the following personalization. If you use that in our AI tool, it will know based on what you said to personalize. It will take the memories of what your template looks like and then personalize whatever instructions you give it. So definitely get into thank you notes, whether that be digital or in print. All right, so I'm going to get into a couple more things. We have a service called Take Two, which is kind of the idea of a second opinion service. And this is an easy way to get someone to refer you based on the presence that, hey, I'm going to get a second opinion. It could be a flat fee. So it could say, hey, refer your clients. I'm doing a $250 tax plan second opinion. And this allows people, to feel a little more comfortable. Hey, this is real value. They're actually charging, but maybe it takes a lot of the risk out of that, reaching out. And it kind of says, and it puts in the back of their mind a little bit of doubt. Is my pro doing everything they should be doing? So whether that's a second opinion about your tax planning minimization strategies or more of like a cash flow thing, I think that is another way to do it. We talk about highlighting the value of a fresh perspective. This is kind of going with the Take Two. So instead of asking for referrals directly, we say, focus on the benefits of obtaining a fresh perspective on financial matters. So it's kind of like you're just stuck into this little funnel, right? This is the way I always do things. Hey, did you know there is another way to look at this and to solve this? And it's kind of, then again, it becomes where you're becoming the disruptor. You're becoming that new category, and you might be able to break through in, I do it this way every year for every year after every year after every year. So definitely utilize some of those techniques. I think I mentioned this a little bit ago, but I think you need to make sure that confidentiality is a big part of your communication when you're asking for referrals. So we include that in all the language that we put together, but you want to make sure you're not going to get someone who's going to refer you if they think you're sharing my income or my financial situations with Aunt, Betty. So definitely watch out on that and make sure that's part of the process. I have a couple more, and then we're going to kind of wrap this thing up. We're going to talk a little bit about technology. So, and I'm going to say this to you, Rebekah, we have like a simple referral form on our websites that people can fill out and say who's referring and who it's going to. But what other kind of literature, what other kind of material do you think people need to help equip their clients to refer them?
Yeah, so I think there are all kinds of different things you can do based on who your clients are, right? Like if you're targeting mostly like millennials, Gen X, people who are on the internet, you can do social media. You can just post about making a referral and they will see it. If you are targeting mostly older people, retirees, that kind of thing, you may want to send a physical letter. You may want to send an email, something that they're more likely to check. Text messaging is another great way. If you do texting to your clients, text them a referral link and let them fill out that form. There's also services out there that will kind of handle that end of things for you. Loyalty Lion is one, Referral Candy. We haven't really mentioned those yet. So those are options where you can use a third-party service to help you manage your referrals, which for larger firms especially can be easier than doing it all in-house. So I think just knowing your people, knowing what they engage with the most, and then using that same methodology to ask for referrals is kind of the best way to go. And it is going to be different for every firm, just based on what you do and who you serve.
I think that's all excellent. And I'm going to leave with the most obvious and often a step that is completely missed. Show gratitude. Thank people through the process. And then when you get a new referral, go back, do hoops, do everything you can to treat them with exceptional professionalism. And something that people don't understand is this brand new client actually usually becomes the biggest referrer of services to others. And you know why? They took a leap of faith. They took a referral. They started working with you. You blew them away. At that point, that is about as excited they are about your brand, and they want to share that. For example, I'm going to do something that's silly, but someone refers you to a carpet installer, And the first one you go to kind of lets you down. They're overpriced. It's a bad experience. And then you go to the next carpet installer and you have a great experience. And then all of a sudden, someone else in a conversation is like, oh, I'm getting my floors done. Oh, I have someone exactly for you, even though that carpet installer hasn't even installed the carpet in your house yet. Because of that service and the way you were received in the beginning, you felt like, oh, this is the right source. And that is an area that you would be shocked how many referrals come from brand new clients. So treat new clients with exceptional professionalism and care. And this opens up the doors for other referral opportunities. So we've talked about all these different strategies. I think you need to organize it in your CRM. So you want to track who's making the referrals, have I referred to them, who's your top referral sources, perhaps engage them more often with a targeted message throughout the year, just kind of thanking them and talking about what's going on, or maybe sharing some new success stories. I think that is really important. But make sure that you have a robust CRM and know how to use it, know how to manage your network of other professionals. Like for our client hub, for example, you can add all of them as collaborators within a client account. They can have access to download documents when you share them. You obviously have the ability to secure message them if you're collaborating on a client situation. So definitely something to organize and do well. So now I'm going to come into what I think a lot of people get. They get overwhelmed. They feel like there's too many challenges. It sounds like too much work. So what are, some of the things you see, Rebekah, in what I'll call the challenges in generating referrals, and, how can they be overcome by our professionals?
Yeah, so lack of client engagement is a big one. You're asking for referrals, you're sending out the emails, you're not getting anybody who's biting. It can be really frustrating. So to those people, I say go back to the drawing board, right? Come up with a different way. A lot of times we see that offering an incentive is the easiest way to start getting those referrals. People like free stuff. They like money off, and they like free things, and they like to feel like they're getting something for their time. So I think if you've been struggling and you haven't tried that, that can be a way to kind of jumpstart things, to kind of get people involved. I mentioned like referral candy, those kinds of things. That can be an option if you haven't had luck on your own. Those are services that will allow people to choose gift cards or choose merchandise that they are interested in based on how many referrals they give you. So it can kind of almost be like a competition with yourself. Like, how many referrals do I need to give my tax professional to earn this $100 Starbucks card or whatever it may be? So I think offering something is a great way to kind of get started if you've been struggling a lot. Also, unclear referral processes is something that people sometimes struggle with. If you haven't sat down and really hammered out what your referral process looks like, how that funnel is going to work once you get someone's name, that's something you need to clear up and have a very firm process for before you start asking for referrals. Because there's a chance that people have been giving you names and then those people haven't been converting because they get confused or they get lost in the shuffle. And that's going to reduce the chances of your existing clients referring again if the people they've referred so far have not had great experiences. So I think going back to the drawing board, figuring out what people really want from you in exchange for their referrals, and having a very clear referral process in your office are two of the best ways to start seeing results.
Yeah, and I'm going to add to that, and we're just going to wrap this thing up. So when we're talking about like for referral processes, like literally you need everyone from the front office to every partner to say, here's our set. Stage one is this, stage two, stage three, and make it a checklist and be disciplined. It's just like anything in life. It's a habit, right? So if you add this habit and do it every single time, it becomes repeatable, becomes scalable, and the more likely you're going to be successful with it. And then I think just being responsive to your clients, you're realizing how important that is. But now you're also seeing, if you don't, the penalty for that is a 1-star review. And that then gets amplified. That then hurts your SEO scores and signals to Google and the search everywhere kind of optimization that we do. And it really is going to kind of put handcuffs on you from being successful. So 100% referral pipelines are a great way to grow. If you're in a niche, a vertical, it's even better because you're going to get more and more peers like-minded. We have people like in the police, law enforcement, for example, that have 10,000 clients. Literally, and they all refer everybody. It's a big, huge networking game. And it's the greatest way to build a practice. More importantly, be able to serve one client base where you know it inside and out. It takes you much less time. You're more of an expert to find every single tax plan or tax deduction, blah, blah, blah. So really important. So I hope you guys have understood the digital landscape has changed. The old days of 15, 20 years ago, it doesn't happen anymore. Everybody's going to Google your name after they were referred. And that is what could stop, your referral pipeline right there. So the better that search results, the more Google business profile has a bunch of 5-star reviews. Your TaxBuzz profile has a bunch of 5-star reviews. You have reviews on your website when they get there. You have a professional, high-end looking website. It speaks to the audience. You're going to do much better. So that wraps up today's podcast. I hope you have found this enjoyable and hopefully educational. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at LinkedIn or on our website at CountingWorksPro.com or TaxBuzz.com. We look forward to reaching out and having a conversation with you guys soon. Thank you again.